Well, look, Robert on Facebook says, all jokes aside, it'll be embarrassing for Man United if they don't win at home. They spent hundreds of millions. I don't see it that way, Swanee. I think Keith's right. I think if a Rangers player, like, they've got every chance of getting a result on Thursday night, I think.
Yeah, I think that there's Rangers away from home in different competitions. It's just a puzzle. And everyone knows, we've talked about the domestic form away from home. Home form's cracking, domestically away from home. Terrible. Yet they step away from home in Europe and just look pretty composed, pretty organised, pretty confident, look as though they know what they're doing. Everything, players seem to play above themselves. Rangers on the road in Europe this year have been really good. And you can hark back to the recent seasons and they've performed well in Europe in recent seasons as well, Rangers. But it's a lot, it's not the same players, it's a different team. And they seem to cope with it no problem. And yet they go to grounds domestically and they don't do. I mean, even look at the exit from the Champions League, it wasn't that way performance that was the problem. It was when they got back to Glasgow. So Rangers are perfectly capable of going away and imposing themselves on the game and not sort of falling to bits in the opening 20 minutes and anything like that. And I think if they get a foothold in the game, which they've shown in various away trips in Europe that they're perfectly capable of doing, they're against a team who, if they're not 1-0 up on Rangers inside 15, 20 minutes, you'll already feel it turning, I would imagine. Not being someone who's in Old Trafford every week, but I'd imagine they won't be happy if they're not winning the game early doors. And Rangers can really capitalise on that. I think Rangers have got absolutely nothing to fear going there. Nothing to fear.
It's a great point, Swanee. The atmosphere inside that stadium is going to be, I think it's going to feel quite surreal.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's reached that. I don't cover games there, Keith, and we don't cover games, so I don't know if it's reached apathy stage yet. And I think then it's not too bad. It's almost not toxic because people can't be bothered. But if it's still in the period of toxicity, Rangers will easily go in and settle into a game in the first 20 minutes and have that place on fire.
Well, what's the record? Is that Man United lost? Has Amorim not lost 5 straight at Old Trafford now?
He's lost 4 at Old Trafford since he took over. 4 straight.
Or 4 since he took over. But listen, the natives will not be taking this well at all. Now, maybe there will be a bit of apathy because, well, it's only Rangers, it's only the Europa League. But I think Swanee's right. I think if Rangers can kind of set their own tempo in this match and kind of take it to Manchester United and maybe hit them on the break the way that they kind of try to sucker Celtic into traps in the 2 recent derby matches. I think if they can get a bit of joy, I would expect the atmosphere to become pretty horrible down there. And that can really help because if there's Man United players that don't know if they really fancy this and they're not very happy about the manager's just said, and then the fans start giving them pelters, it could the stars could align for Rangers on Thursday night. And do you know what? The stars often align for Rangers on Thursday nights, don't they?
See, I know we don't specialise in English football, but just very quickly, what's your guys' thoughts on Amorim? Do you think, your gut feeling, do you think he'll get the time? Do you think he has the man to turn Man United around?
Well,
big question.
But Ineos fired the guy that they waited to get from Newcastle for I don't know how long after 3 months, didn't they, as a sporting director, which shows that Jim Ratcliffe clearly will make decisions that he feels, even difficult ones, he won't be slow in making them if he feels it's in the best interest of the club. What I would think is that his reputation is on Amorim as well, because they made a big deal about selecting him, going and getting him. I think Amorim wanted to come at the end of the season. He didn't want to come in mid-season for probably the exact reasons that you're seeing here. So I think having pushed the boat out to get him in and make such a big deal about that, I think they're sort of duty bound to kind of stick with him. But I don't know how long this can go on.
Keith, I might have got this wrong. You'll probably know this because you're pretty well versed on Liverpool. Liverpool want him before Arne Slot.
It was a name. It was a name. Yes, he
couldn't get him. So he didn't want to leave at that time, and that's why they moved attentions. I must admit, I couldn't help but thinking when I saw the name originally, it was like someone else had done the homework for them. And it's like, Liverpool want to do. He must be decent. They did great with Klopp, but we'll go get him.
It might
Because
be an
I
element.
didn't see a CV there that made me think, jump out straight Manchester United.
Interesting.
Listen, he had great success with Sporting Lisbon, and his
did.
Sporting Lisbon side played some terrific football. But it's interesting, isn't it? I think he got the Sporting Lisbon gig after doing really well with Braga. And isn't it right that Rangers were the only side to defeat him in Europe while he was at Braga? There's some crazy thing, but I think Rangers beat them home and away.
Yeah.
So there's another.
Manchester United had tried the name, hadn't they? They tried the name and the established guy, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho. They tried that, and I think now is obviously the attempt to go for the younger, progressive, forward-thinking young European coach. But listen, we go back to the discussions we've had ad nauseum about Philippe Clement, and Manchester United can't even be contemplating this guy leaving. They have to just be patient and give him what he needs. There's no point in going to that fuss to get a hold of the guy and then not actually giving him the tools that he needs to do his job.
And maybe that's where he provided himself with a bit of a safety net there, Swanee, by just coming out, as you said there, just saying, look, what is this? This is murder.
Listen, Keith, you mentioned Marcus Rashford. Again, I don't profess to be an expert on Manchester United, but I remember watching a game, it must have been about 3 seasons ago. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer might have been in charge. When Bruno Fernandes, the captain, somebody just walked past him on the touchline and he just wrapped it. He just started walking. And the pundits were going crazy afterwards. I can't believe that. How can you be the Manchester United captain if you do that? He's still the Manchester United captain 3 years later.
Well, they're in a bad way. There's no doubt about it.
How can that be?
But listen, in many ways, Rangers are going through a sort of Man United kind of period themselves, aren't they, with the turmoil. And it's ongoing turmoil behind the scenes. I know they've got Patrick Stewart, but funnily enough, Patrick Stewart jumps in from the fire at Old Trafford into the frying pan at Ibrox.
Yeah.
And he's looking at all these similar sorts of problems where Man United have been firing managers and stockpiling players from every different manager along the way. And it ends up with this mismatch in the dressing room of guys that were signed by this one and other guys signed by that one. It's a very similar set of problems that Clement is dealing with at Rangers right now. And there are question marks over both managers. But I tell you what, Clement would go a long way to making his kind of position with the Rangers support a bit stronger. I'm not saying he'd be able to cement it, but he'd make it a bit stronger if he could come back up the road with a decent result and a good performance at Old Trafford. No doubt about that.
Can you see all the water that's gone under the bridge this season? And all the discussions that we've had and all the things we've talked about. And if you go right back, way back to the start of the season, we basically said, look, this might have to be a season where Rangers fans have to suffer a wee bit for the long term gain. And it was, can they see signs? Can they see something? And we've talked back and forward about, no, there hasn't been enough. A lot of people have decided that's not it. If you start getting results at Old Trafford, there's going to be inconsistency because you're changing the team all the time. You're trying to bed in a new team. But you said, like, for the long-term good, it might work. If you can beat Rangers at New Year, like has happened, if you can win at Old Trafford, it's at least little marker points where you can say, look, there is something there. I am capable of doing this. Well, just a wee bit more time and some more pieces in the jigsaw, and I'll show you. But so I think games like this, I think Thursday night could be a massive game for Clement. Clement goes to Old Trafford and wins. Now, it's not good enough for Rangers to be beating Celtic and then dropping points in subsequent games straight away. We all know that. But if what he's saying is he's trying to build a team up, you at least need something to work with, and big results would be something to work with. And Thursday would be massive. I think Old Trafford win a game like that would be a massive result for him. I think it's a big game for Philippe Clement. I think we buy him a lot of grace.
Yeah, listen, I agree, and I don't think it's beyond him. And I look at, for example, Igaman, and this boy looks as if he fears no one or no occasion. I think he'll relish the opportunity to go down there and showcase, what he's got on that sort of stage.
If he wasn't relishing it, all he had to do was watch Match of the Day last night, and he would have been
exactly, mate.